Hello, this is Paleac, and in this tutorial we're going to talk about vocoders. I'm just going to explain a little bit how vocoders work, and then going to make some sounds, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It should be fun. And if you would like to support the YouTube channel, then you can sign up for my Patreon for $15 a month. You can download all of the racks that are in all my videos, as well as other racks and sound design generators I haven't covered in these videos, as well as Patreon exclusive tutorials and sample packs. So, vocoder, super cool. Basically, you put the vocoder on a signal. I have this group here called modulator. This is where the vocoder device is going to go. And then there's going to be this group that's muted called the carrier, and this is where it's going to route from. And what a vocoder does is it takes two signals and then splits both the signals up into multiple bands. So you can imagine each of these is just a little bandpass filter, and then you multiply the amplitude of both of the bandpass filters together. Now, I'm not like 100% sure exactly how this specific vocoder works. Some of them work by like using FFT to split bands up. Some of them, I think this one just uses bandpass filters, but that's not really relevant. All you really have to know is that you're multiplying signals together, and that can create unique, cool, interesting sounds. So in the carrier, I'm going to have just like a little synthesizer thing going. So let's just take a little wavetable. Let's get some like low bass note. Make a saw wave. So we got that. And then this vocoder, I'm gonna take external, and I'm gonna take it from the carrier signal. Now, if we take, let's get a little drum break. So it does that, you know. Now there's all these different parameters within it. So formant filter, not, again, I'm not 100% sure how formant filter works. It seems to do some mix of like filtering and also like frequency shifting of some of these bands to like emulate how formant filters work signals, because this is often used through voice. That's cool. Attack changes the attack of each individual band and how they react to each other. Same thing with release. Range increases the range of bands. So if you go all the way from 20 hertz to 18 kilohertz, this is going to divide this whole entire range into 40 evenly spaced bands. Well, I think it's I believe it's evenly spaced logarithmically, so it's not linear because, you know, that's how we hear. So like if you want your fundamental to be like a specific note, you can set the lower end to be like, make it 44 hertz if you want it to be F. We can lower the number of bands. And then you can also filter the bands individually by like drawing in this thing. Depth. I don't know exactly what depth is doing, but you can hear what it sounds like. I guess it's like letting, if it's a 0, it's letting, it doesn't really give a fuck about multiplying amplitudes together. And this it cares more. And then there's also a gate that you can put on for every individual band. So you have like a frequency gate. Now bandwidth is interesting. At like 200%, like the sound gets more precise, I guess. And then when it's all the way down, it turns into just individual sine waves. I don't know what precise versus retro. I looked it up in the guide. I guess this is just supposed to emulate how vocoders used to sound. The guide is not really explicit on how the vocoder works. And then keep in mind that each of these sine waves are going to be located at the beginning of each of these bins. So there's going to be one at 20 hertz, and then one at 18 kilohertz, and then they're all going to be evenly divided in between them. So for instance, if we make this 12 bands total, and then let's make this 440 hertz at the beginning, right? That's A. And we make this 880 hertz at the top, which is an octave above it, then this is going to end up playing a chromatic scale from 8A. Then you can like draw in like a minor or major scale, basically by doing something like that. Now, that's not like really useful, but it helps you like think about how it's working. So you could do the same thing with like 36 bands and move this between, what's 880 times 2? I guess we can make this, what, 110 to 880. Now this is a chromatic scale. Doesn't sound good, but it's like, just for context, how it all works. So that's pretty much how it works. Enhance adds like some like distortion noise to the high end. Unvoiced adds noise. And then if you change carrier signal to noise, this is just going to take in from a noise oscillator. And then you can move the mouse around on this XY axis, and that changes how the noise is generated. So I believe if it's down, it's going to create little clicks and noise pops more seldom, like less often. This can create like cool textures and stuff. And then you can change the number of bands for different sounds. So, oh, and then also there's modulator mode, and this is just going to take the input signal from itself. So, it's basically just applying the whole vocoder effect over itself. So you're just modulating. The carrier and the modulator is both the same signal. And then by doing that, then you can apply all these different effects. So I also pitch tracking. Honestly, I don't know what the fuck pitch tracking does. I never use it. Yeah, I don't know what pitch tracking does. Oh well. For the most part, I always use modulator mode, and I often put an OTT afterwards, because like the vocoder can like remove a bunch of, it can remove a lot of dynamics that make it a lot quieter, and then the OTT can bring it back out. It sounds nice. Like that can sound cool. Then you can like try switching it. Press the signal beforehand. Okay, so now I'm going to start mapping all of these parameters that I want to fuck with into this rack, so that we can end up doing some interesting stuff with it. So to start with, I guess I'll do depth, the bandpass width, formant. It doesn't really matter right now where I'm putting these parameters, because we can move them around later, because I'm going to end up putting this inside of another rack. I'm going to take attack time, release, put these frequency range dudes here. Gate, that one's pretty important. And then let's put the unvoiced level, which adds noise, sensitivity button, so that we can turn on and off this speed knob, which just changes like the algorithm for how fast the noise thing works. Let's add this precise and retro thing. Let's add this enhance thing. And fuck it, let's add this mono stereo thing. I guess this switches it between like modulating the left and right signals independently versus all together in stereo or mono or something. Okay, so we have these knobs. Now, the thing I really want to be able to automate is the number of bands, because this can really change the sound of shit. However, you can't automate this. It's just not a thing you can do, which is annoying. So to get around that, we're gonna make a new rack inside of this rack. And then we're going to take all these things that we want to map and map them into the correct positions. So for the most part, I like how this is gonna work, except the knob that I'm gonna have for the number of bands is gonna go right here, and then I'm probably gonna put a dry wet right here on the first one. So let's put, I don't know, form and shift there, because that's cool. The top row are like pretty important knobs. Gate there. Got the upper and lower filters here. So you know what? I want to swap them. That makes more sense to my brain. And put these noise knob oscillators here, and then yeah, these like on-off true false Boolean value knobs there. And then I'm gonna name this 4, because this is going to be for the vocoder with 4 bands. Duplicate it and name this one 8. Set this to 8 bands. I'm going to do this for all 10 of them. So that's fun. 16. 20. Are you having fun? 24. Oh man, we're on a roll right now. 28. We're getting there, almost there. 32. 6. And big 40. And now I'm gonna open up the chain selector. I'm gonna drag all of these out. I'm gonna right click, hit distribute ranges equally. And then here comes the even more fun part, where I am going to create crossfades for all of these. Yeah. Yeah, this is fun. Nope, don't wanna move that. Yeah. Some highbrow sound design shit going on right here. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, not completely consistent and perfect for each one, as long as there are parts where it's crossfading and there's parts where you only hear one of these little subgroups, you know, that should be fine. We'll do that. We'll do this. Okay, we did it. Good job, team. Now we can take chain selector, map it here, and call it number bands. Put this compression thing afterwards. So that's fucking cool. Sounds super weird, kind of alien. Yeah, so we need to add, finally, I guess a dry wet to this. Oh, fuck. Okay. We want to add a dry wet. We need to put this in another group. Yeah. Then we get to map all the shit again. Yeah. Yeah, this is fun. There's probably another way to do this, but this is the easiest way I can think of. Yep. Yep. This is our wet. This is our dry. Then chain selector. Bring them both all the way out. Dry. Look like that. Wet is gonna look like that. Put that there. Cool. All right, now this is, we can name this Paleac Super Vocoder Rack, right? And then take your user library, go to your audio effect racks, toss that shit in there. Now, problem with this now is this audio effect rack is specifically set to be on modulator mode for everything, right? If we open up all these dudes, let's hide all the chain selectors. It's on modulator mode, and if we want all of these vocoders to route externally from the carrier, we're gonna have to go in hand by hand and set this up. So I'm gonna do this now because this should be cool. And to avoid having to like do this on every project file, you can end up just saving both of these groups as like its own little mini project file track that you could throw in your user library, and then when you want to do sound design like this, you can just toss this in a thing, right? We'll name this, keep mapping from carrier, and I guess you could like create another group if you want to just have it mapped from noise. I don't feel like doing that because that's tedious. Well, I guess actually you can set the external signal to just be white noise if you want. I don't know. Okay, external carrier. So these should all be going from the carrier. I forgot to name this dry wet. And then you can draw melody with this. Something, you know? So you have to be like, whoa. Something like that. Legato. can add drums over it. Now, keep in mind, this is literally only just with a sawtooth wave, so we can like make more variation by modulating sawtooth wave with an LFO. Use 2 LFOs. Then you can also, let's try just swapping what the modulator signal is and what the carrier signal is by just putting them in opposite groups. Okay, that doesn't sound that cool. Let's swap them back in. Alright, now let's fuck around with some like random variations or whatever. I'm gonna use the spellbook. It is a multi-mapping LFO device thing that you can get for like some pretty like random automation patterns. Go watch my other videos if you don't know what this is. It's super cool. I'm just gonna map a bunch of parameters to things that I think may sound cool. See how that turns out. Yeah, let's keep the filter bandwidth like super low. start recording this because now it sounds fucking dope, and I want to like play around with it. Okay, now we have all of this shit. Let's bring it back out. Stretch it out, repitch it. Fucking cool. Alright, I think that's cool enough. You get a good picture of what's going on. So after you're done with all of this, I'm just gonna like delete all these things, the modulator and the carrier, and put them all in a group. I call this super vocoder group, I guess. I don't know. You can come up with a better name. And then I'll take that and I'll just toss that in my user library as well. And then that way, now you have two different things. So then you can just like go through, find a sound that you like. If you want to fuck with it, you can just get your fucking super vocoder rack thing. Add OTT. You can easily fuck with it, and then if you want to fuck with other stuff, you know, modulate it by using another source, then you can just use this super vocoder rack. So type in super vocoder group, and then you can just drag it in your project, and then bam, this whole thing is here. And then you just toss something into the modulator, and then you toss something into the carrier. So I can just throw the same thing in the carrier, like the original signal being vocoded by a granulated signal 4 octaves above it. Who knows? Maybe you like that sound. So yeah, that's the tutorial. Hope you found it helpful and eye-opening. Vocoders are super powerful. I advise you like just try. You don't even necessarily have to like completely mangle and fuck up the sound. You could just like use a vocoder on modulator mode, just followed by an OTT to like shape certain bass sounds and stuff. You know, it doesn't have to be super crazy. But yeah, I hope you found that helpful.